I don't really think, we told him we just need to get the bank stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'll give him a copy of this number, that you really need to stay.
Boss, you're
Yeah,
on.
let me see what we
Yeah.
got, and I got the bank stuff.
My Memorex?
Okay.
Taught him how to do
So
it.
now, I mean, there's no reason.
He don't want to learn how to do it.
Check yourself off.
Hey, I've been asked for a tall switch for 3 years.
Just a big throw.
There you go.
All right.
Go back across the street.
I'm
Yep.
going down when I have one.
Oh, okay.
I want for all you.
Okay. Let's see.
He texted me and said he wasn't gonna be able to make it.
I was gonna say.
Not necessarily if it's a group message. It'll come up as that. But we have enough.
That's the plaza down at 50.
Oh,
His plaza
Okay.
and the property down there.
Well, so, and just to let you all know, Mr. Linkmeyer called me about an hour ago, and he's not gonna be here. He said he felt like he was gonna throw up outside of his truck on the way home and
let him stay where he's at then.
Yeah.
had the flu. So,
Maybe.
well, I didn't want to do that at this late juncture. I do have some information on the Dearborn Golf Resort, and yeah, but yeah,
Everybody ready? Call meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Jane Pope,
Present.
Aaron's absent, Bill Bruner,
Here.
Mike Lawrence,
Here.
J.R. Holcraft,
Here.
Leslie Votal, attorney,
here.
Mayor Carr,
Here.
and myself.
You have in front of you guys, Dan came down today and brought us copies of basically an update of the loans that we wanted updated on, including Dearborn Golf Resort, Jets property, Steve Linkmeyer's, both of his loans, and W&M Enterprises. Just to let you all know, as I said before the meeting started, Mr. Linkmeyer called me about an hour ago and said that he was feeling ill and was not going to be able to make the meeting, that he would make whatever meeting he wanted to set, the very next meeting. He did not forward the contract. I think what his understanding was that he would get the contract to you the day of the meeting so that it would not be distributed. So I guess I need your feedback on that, but
I thought we agreed to get it a couple days ahead of time so we could review it.
But regardless, couldn't he had somebody bring it or, got it here today?
yeah, he did not do that. He didn't get it to me between time. But he did call and say, he could have just not shut up, I guess, too, but,
I understand him not coming. I mean, I have no problem with that if he's sick.
and then Mr. Neske was here, and I'm not sure why we put him back on the agenda tonight, but, he just wanted an updated copy of the payments and everything, and I did give him a copy of what, Dan had provided to us, so he's gonna work on getting the bank, the checks, copy of the checks to us, so.
And that's what?
That's-
Ed Properties.
Jets Properties LLC. I did speak with Dwight Bucher, who is part of the LLC, the Dearborn Golf Resort LLC. He's having financial troubles. He is basically having to put in his own money to keep the place afloat up there, to pay the people. I suggested that he make an appointment with our office and we can sit down and get everything. He says he would be an open book as far as his finances if we need to look at it, but he has come up to some financial trouble up there, and so, eventually we're going to need to decide to do, I do think right now, they haven't paid since April of 14.
What page is it on? Because
Yeah, on page 2. part of his problem is that there were other people on this LLC that were from out of town, and he got involved locally, and they've pretty much left him, I mean, this is what he was telling me, left him to answer for all of this. I don't know legally where that is. I do know it was set up by Mr. Stratman. He was my point of contact to try to get Mr. Bucher's number, and I did get his number and was able to talk to him today. But I told him that in the next couple weeks, we can make an appointment in my office and we can go over everything, and if he has any kind of proposals.
Mr. Goble's still involved with this too, right?
I believe so.
I think so.
So he pays $5,000 a month, Leslie?
That's correct. He did mention, one thing he did mention is that his, that the event center is hurting as far as, the weddings. He doesn't even have another wedding scheduled up there until May of 15. So,
But there's nothing we can do about that.
I know. But like I said, these other people, I've given the opportunity to sit down and get some ideas from them of where they want to go with this, and come and report that back to the board. I also told him that if it was better, we could have one or two of you at that meeting, and we could go over everything. So I guess I just need direction on how to proceed on that one.
Any thoughts on it?
I think Leslie should discuss it with him and see what he can offer and come back to us and see if we're agreeable.
I probably will have Mr. Votal there as well, just because he knows the history of this with the country club. I mean, I know at one point the city was going to probably foreclose. I mean, that's when these people came in and assumed the loan, assumed the note. One of the other things too is that as far as any type of, we talked a little bit about any type of annexation.
Yeah, it takes a while to do that.
Lawrenceburg, they are in Lawrence, most of it is in Lawrenceburg Township. So I mean, if we proceed, or we were gonna proceed with any kind of foreclosure, we may wanna think about as council an annexation. Because the utilities do run, our utilities do run all the way down around that property, correct?
Yes.
That, contiguous with that property, is that right?
Yeah, but if you want to annex, you better do it right away, because they're about to change laws on it.
And that means we'd annex from where the township starts all the way down to cover.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly. Jackie had said something too. She thought that Aurora was going to do that at one point. And so that's why I need to consult with Mr. Votal, because obviously we can't annex it if they already have, but I don't remember them ever doing it.
I don't know, there was talk about it, I thought at one time.
I don't think you did it.
Well,
If
maybe
you're gonna
not.
annex, you need to annex everything you got services to.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm hearing from you, Leslie, you're looking that it's gonna end up in foreclosure.
Well, I don't see that right this second, just because he is, he was current until 8 months ago, I guess, or, no.
See the time frame on the annexation.
Oh.
About a year.
I do know, in talking with Mr. Davis today, he did say that it is not anything that we would have to, because what we had to do before on Linkmeyer's, there was a whole petition process that we had to follow to assume that territory too from Duke Energy, and that had to be approved through the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, IURC. We already have service to. We don't have sewer and water, but we do have electric. So, he thought that part of the process we wouldn't have to do. But, I don't know, I mean, those are some avenues that we could do. I'm not advising you one way or another at this point, because I'm not real sure which way to go on it. But if you'll give me the opportunity to sit down and talk with Mr. Buecher and maybe Mr. Goebel, who needs to be part of that conversation too, then that's what I'll do.
Dan Goble, he's
Yeah.
the one who came down here a few years back. Came close to foreclosing, was going to.
He was the receptions part, right?
Yeah.
Or he was, and when he proposed that they could take it over and run it, and
At the time, it was better to keep it open. Grow up and be nice.
So they still owe over 3 million?
Yeah.
And he has paid his late fees, apparently. Been deducted from his payment. Am I following that right, Dan? Where it shows late fees?
Yes, he has paid those as part of his monthly payment. But his principal just has to fall as quickly because of the late fee portion. And in this agreement, there's in the altered, or in the second agreement, the wording of the penalty calculation says that the penalty only applies to interest. And then in the second document, the interest rate is 0, so by that math, you would never be charged a penalty.
I thought that the country club's loan was, the payments were supposed to be interest only anyway.
maybe at first, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, and when it was assumed on December 22nd,
It changed,
2011, that documentation spelled out how the penalty should be.
oh, okay.
So what are you saying? Because he's 0% interest?
Yeah,
there-
technically going forward, he does not, based on the language in the agreement, he doesn't incur a penalty because it's 5% of the interest and the interest is 0, so 5% of 0 is.
0.
I see, that's why it didn't accrue down there.
Right, so there is some, when this gets renegotiated or resubmitted, that language is going to need to be clarified. And if there's any negotiation on the past late fees or whatever, that in the replacement document, it's going to need to be very clear how those penalties are reviewed.
I do know he's also, I don't think this is the only loan that he's dealing with up there. So he alluded to something else. So let me get all the facts from him and give you guys a better picture of what's going on, and then I'll bring it back to you.
You gonna have a couple council people sit in with you?
I can.
I'd like to see Mike sit in.
No.
No.
I'm not gonna vote or have anything to do with this because I have a conflict, because I do business for them, for Buecher, so I feel I have a conflict that I'm not gonna be involved with it.
Else want
I can sit in on it. I know a little bit about loans and interest and banking.
JR, you want to sit on? No. Bill?
No.
Aaron, since he's here.
Well, I mean, like I said, we can set up a time. I told him I would call him after the 5th, and we could set something up, so I can let you know.
Okay, Dan, down here at the
I have
bottom.
a question on
it's-
this loan, real quick. Was, just because I wondered this when I was sitting in the audience, has there been an appraisal done on that out there? Because I just don't see that place being worth $3 million.
Let's see. I mean, this is, Jackie also has a file, so we could probably look if it's not in here. I think most everything I have, no, that's what they borrowed. That's what the Dearborn Realty Company of Aurora, Inc. / Dearborn Country Club borrowed, was 3.1.
So the city never requested that it be appraised to make sure that,
Let me see here. As far as, yeah, I don't know about that.
because
Let me
I
look
just
here.
don't see that place being worth $3 million. I mean, it's nice, but
Not that nice.
it's not $3 million nice. And it would be completely different if the land was level and blah, 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 but I just,
I agree with you, but you gotta look at the income, but I guess his income's not what it was.
It's been like that for years.
It's 115 acres,
115 acres?
which is, that's just one parcel. The second parcel is, let's see.
So Mayor, you're saying that they've had a lack of income for years up
For
there?
years, I mean, I don't see this event center working. It hasn't been open that long. It's been, they've been doing one business.
That's what I, you know,
I don't see that.
Yeah, 115 is there. There's 55 in the city of Aurora, 7.898 in Center Township, and 52.20 in Lawrenceburg Township.
so what's that bring it to?
That's 115 altogether.
Okay.
And then, looks like some other easements and stuff. Oh, no, there's 114 there. So altogether, 229 acres. So, that's probably, could be, you know, I mean, just, I don't even know what that would be per acre, but
I was just curious if there was an appraisal done at the time to
I don't know.
make sure it wasn't loaning more money than it was valued at, or,
Well, and as far as the city
We
owning
appraised
it,
everything else in Lawrenceburg. I don't know if we appraised that or not.
Back
That's
then,
not
the
something
appraisal
I don't
been
know.
higher than
It's,
what it is
it's a
now.
beautiful
Well, I
place to
know,
have a wedding. I've been
because
to a
when
couple.
W&M got their loan, we had to show appraisals. on the
I'm sure,
property, so
Mike,
I
we
didn't
would have
know.
to look and see. We can look and see as far as, you mean when they actually first got it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I just don't see that it's worth that much money, but maybe it is. I mean, that's not my business,
It
but.
was in 2006.
So by some of the
See, the thing
acreage,
in 2006, that's when the market crumbled.
so some of the acreage is in Aurora, so we couldn't annex it all.
We could, from what I understand, what Mel was telling us, we could as long as,
Get services to it.
yeah, we have services to it. So we would have to determine that.
Because none of it's actually in the city of Aurora, is it?
A little piece.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think it's in the city of Aurora. It's only in Center Township. Well, let's see.
They annexed out that far though recently. I
Oh.
can't find it yet, but
There was some kind of
there
annexation.
was all the way out because they moved the sign.
But it took a section right there because they was gonna
Yeah,
build
right at
condos
the
at one
entrance,
time.
because there was also a water sewer
Right.
line issue.
Did they put in water and sewage then? City of Aurora?
It was someplace that.
Water, they have water. There's an easement for water.
And the sewer.
And, doesn't say. That's to Cops and Land Life.
You can
Lives-
get them to give you the easement of that.
Does look like there's an easement for water for Aurora. So what we'll do on this one then is, check to see if we have any appraisals.
I got one more question for Dan. Down here at the accrued late fees, even though you said they shouldn't be charged late fees, you went ahead and added?
Yeah, that assumption agreement was dated December of 2011, and the note we have.
It was
here-
actually February of 2011, I think.
February.
Mhm.
My email says
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You're right. Where did I get February? I had February of 11 somewhere. I see it right now. It says 22nd day of December 2011.
Yeah, we've gone ahead and computed the late fees based on what we think was the intended language. But those certainly, under the strictest reading of the language that's in the agreement, the late fees would actually be zero. We would need to adjust the 2250 off of this number.
Leslie, could we write back in, can we do late fees on principal? Can we do late fees on just non-payments without interest?
According to the agreement,
Well, I'm just saying, can we?
when the agreement's rewritten as part of this process, when it's rewritten, yes. But as of now, no. Again, the language was restricted that says that the interest is only subject, or I'm sorry, the penalty is only subject to the interest payment, which the interest rate is zero. So it was, the language wasn't, at the time, the language was written because this was an interest-only payment for a period of time. So I think that's why the language got written that way.
See, and at the time, they also were going to prep land for residential and condominium or motel, hotel, or commercial development lots. That never happened.
Right.
That was part of the reason.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that as well.
Mhm.
That was up front with the interest coming in. They was gonna do, remember JR? They talked about putting condos up.
Right side there.
We can see if Jackie, if you have anything in your office on those 2006 loan, if there's any appraisals.
Okay.
Is that the original date of the loan, 2006?
Mhm. That would be for DC, Dearborn Country Club at that point. Okay,
So where's the payment history going back to 2006, or do we have any?
Yeah.
yeah,
You should have a copy of that somewhere, Jane. I handed all those out at the last meeting, I thought. The payment schedules for everybody.
it was really just through, it looks like interest only, right?
What's the name of the company again?
It was originally under Dearborn Country Club, and they were just paying interest only for the first,
Yeah.
I mean, from '06 to 10/5/09, or 8, it looks like, so 6/28. 10. Copy of those there. See if an extra copy, Jane, and I'll get you one.
I'm looking, I got everything she gave me, I might find it here. And I don't, Jack.
Yeah, it's right.
Everything but,
I can make you a copy. There's a.
oh, here I got it.
Okay, yeah, so it's just like
It's the one that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, question. Interest only at 2%. When did it change to 0%?
When the assumption happened.
December 22nd of 2011.
So what I'm looking at here was the original borrower until it was sent over to the second set of hands?
Yes, it does note that too on that payment history, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
The last one we do have is W&M Enterprises. There was some conversations I got copied on between Mike and Mr. Hedden. And from what I understand, when they did the original, or I don't know, do you,
Yeah, I can walk through this if that's all right. When we originally started going through all this and reviewing all of these loans, our first step, kind of like a puzzle, our first step was to sort everything into like piles, you know, like all the edge pieces and all the dark pieces, all the light pieces, all the blue pieces, all the red pieces. So we went through that process with each one of the loans and then looked at the results to see, you know, what they told us. And that information was presented to this group. I don't have the exact date, but it was sort of the original documentation. And in that documentation, it showed that there was a refund due on this W&M loan for approximately, where is it?
I didn't bring my original document, sorry.
Approximately about $28,000. So that didn't make a lot of sense to us as we looked at it closer, because we had a letter from the Mr. Butler to Ms. Votaw, Ms. Stutz, that said we're kind of walked through and settled up that loan. So as we looked at it, we found a payment that had been assigned to this first sort of data that had been assigned to this loan, but as we looked at it closer and we sent people down to actually pull the supporting detail back to that date, we found that that was actually an interest payment to the city for money that you had invested and not a payment on this loan. So when we took that out and redid everything, first of all, let me explain why that number didn't stick out originally. On this particular loan, the repayments were not always every month. So there'd be a large payment here, a small payment here, another large payment here. So it wasn't out of the ordinary for this loan to have sort of an oddball, out of the ordinary payment. So when we went back and went through everything, we found it. And when we adjusted for it and redid everything, our numbers came pretty close to what the letter was from Mr. Butler to the city. Now, we didn't get the exact numbers, and that could be because of how we compute interest versus how he computed interest. But at the end of the day, what we showed and what we're showing in this report dated today, or I'm sorry, December 23rd, is that there's still $1,174.59 due on this loan if you go through the math the way that we compute interest. But you have a letter where I think all of you agreed that this one's done. So in this case, I don't think that there's a recourse to collect the $1,174, but when I go back and looked at the math and I had staff go back and verify everything again, it looked to me like I think we're very comfortable with this number that's presented on page 9.
Does anybody have any?
I just want to clarify something on record, just because we all talk about Facebook. I read on Facebook that I got a $600,000 gift, but I just want the record to show W&M Enterprises paid their loan and did not get a $600,000 gift.
I can recap that if you'd like. The records show that W&M borrowed $568,000 and paid back $595,885.34.
Okay. Because I was looking for my $600,000 gift they said I got, and I couldn't find it.
Pretty bad, is that?
Yeah, I know it.
I think the only reason why this was brought up because we eliminated Poppy's late fees and interest when he paid off the full loan 4 years early. How early did Mr. Lawrence pay off his loan?
By this, if I'm right, I think 2 months.
Friday, May 10th.
I think it was like August of that year it was due. I think.
Friday, May 10th was the closing. That's the letter from Mr. Butler. Says Friday, May 10th was when you were going to pay it.
And Mike, you may want to clarify that UCB did the figures for Mr. Butler.
August. Yep.
I actually had
That's
them
correct.
calculated two different bank institutes and Mr. Butler. And they all agreed that was the figure. I mean, that's how that was come by.
Our office also calculated it, and we were within hundreds of dollars. It was, yeah. I mean, before we even turned it over to Unball,
Yeah, and we don't have.
Attorney Schwartz
We
did.
didn't spend a tremendous amount of time, once we figured out that payment, trying to tie into the work that was done by the banks. What we want to do is get reasonably close, simply because we didn't view it as I spent another 10 hours to try to tie into their number. At that point, it cost more effort than what it was worth.
It does make sense, but I do believe you probably would have eventually tied into the same number.
It depends on, some of the assumptions they used on how to compute interest, a 360-day year versus a 365-day year. They went from the date the payment was cut by the loan holders, the date that person got the check versus the date it was deposited. There's different factors that would come into play. We'd have to go research all of those, and that just wasn't
Feasible.
We felt was a benefit given what our analysis showed.
That's all I have for tonight.
Mike, are you satisfied with that?
Yeah, I said before, I was okay with that.
You want any of your late fees back?
I ain't asking for nothing back.
I think everyone agreed with what the settlement was on that particular loan, so.
And part of what I'm gonna try to do too is to do releases of all these. I have a whole list of them. There's, including the W&M loan. I believe that release was, I don't know, you can check in your files, but that one was done, correct, Mr. Butler? I don't have a copy of that. That's the only thing. I mean, I don't know. I can make sure that they're all released at the recorder's office. I mean, that's part of what,
I would think that when I got my loan at UCB, they would
they
have,
wouldn't have done it without a release.
yeah. I would've
So
thought.
I'm sure that's the case, but there are other ones like KenFab and other ones that have paid in this loan program. Well, and you came to some sort of disputed values, but we've pretty much just said, that's what they're, that's what we settled for. So there's a whole list of releases that I need to do, make sure that have been done, which I said, they probably have been done, but I can double check with the recorder's office and make sure they were.
So what are we gonna do with the two different Linkmeyer loans? I mean, that's what this meeting was called for.
Like I said, he just asked that we put him on the agenda for the next meeting, if possible. So, I told him I would ask and let
Well,
him know.
because originally we said 90 days. We've given the 90 days and nothing has been produced.
Yeah, actually, 90 days would be today.
Right, that's why we
Exactly,
made it
right?
for today.
September 29th.
And I mean, we're looking at one loan that started out at, I think the draw was like 298, or 2,998,000. Today, it's what, 3,209,749 So he owes, $210,000 basically more than the day it started in 2010, and we've done nothing. And then you got another one that started at 250 in 2008, which I think the balloon payment is up on this one, and it's still at, what, 115,000, and we've done nothing.
I think February 1st of 15. They have until October 1st of 15 on that.
The last payment for the 250 was 6/2/12. 3 million was May 2/12. We're approaching 15. Value of the property, if we do have to go ahead and foreclose on that, bringing that back into the city's hands, will that be a plus, just to recoup?
I mean, from what staff has told me, that's Mr. Clark and Mr. Todd, as far as the amount of money we would have to expend to make it to where it needs to be, would be a lot. But, I mean, maybe we need some firm numbers as far as that before you make that decision. I don't know what, like I said, I'll do however you guys want to do. I do think, him getting this job and paying 75% of their, whatever they make off of it would be a good thing. But, and who's to say that that can't happen? I don't know if that'll happen if we go ahead and file foreclosure, but.
I'd like to see, personally, I'd like to see what the contract says, to
Yeah.
see what he's gonna be able to pay, how much he's gonna be able to pay. Because,
From AEP,
yes, because
That's-
until
while we're here.
we know that, I mean, I think if he can pay the money, why foreclose,
Right.
you know?
Well, and it was said that he hoped by July he could pay the interest.
Mm-hmm,
Which was
And the taxes.
right.
which would be about $200,000.
And now
altogether.
tell me ever how much dirt they're buying or plan on buying. How are you gonna know that you're getting 75% of the money?
That's
How's
what-
the verification? I mean, we're
what we
talking
don't know.
about not a payment made in 2.5 years.
Well, if we,
Could anybody tell
if
me
we
one
foreclose-
bank that would let you go 6 months without making a payment and not do anything?
Well, the specifics on loans in particular, I mean, if we want to get particular, I mean, there are things that happen with a few loans that shouldn't have happened. The banks wouldn't have let happen. But again, we're not there, we're here. And I think if we foreclose, it'll probably be tied up for a couple years anyway.
That's what was
But-
said to me over 2 years ago.
You know, Mike, I appreciate what you're saying, but, you know, since we've been in office, we haven't talked about these loans. We didn't start talking about them until, I don't know,
How
we
come?
we tried to pass ordinances, and, you know, you still had a loan, you wanted to be on the board, I mean, there was, and to me, you know, yeah, that was a bit of a conflict, but you didn't see a problem with it. But again, again, we're not there, we're here, and
If
we
I
didn't
wasn't
talk about
discussing my
loans.
loan, how did I have a conflict?
We didn't talk about loans for a long, long time.
Because
We couldn't
nobody
have-
wanted to.
Can I talk?
And-
Go ahead.
but I-
I'm
You
trying.
can have the table. You can have her tonight.
One at a time, come on. All right, go ahead.
Bill, when
I'm
you're
done.
done. I'd like to make a
Let
comment.
him make what he was and you make
I'm
your-
done, Mayor.
Oh, yeah, make your comment.
We did reestablish the 10-county grant loan guidelines and the loan committee guidelines in the year 2012. Now, why we didn't start having loan committee meetings immediately, I cannot answer that. And that's why I finally put it on the agenda to follow up with the loan committee meeting. So we have been established since 2012. We could have talked in 212, Bill.
No, that was not,
No.
no,
We-
it was 13.
We couldn't
No,
establish.
it was 212.
No,
We
it
couldn't
was
establish a
13.
board.
Was it 13 when it got
It was
finished?
December, like November of 13 is when we got the revolving loan fund thing passed. Now, the 10 county grant one, I think we got passed before that. But the revolving loan fund thing, I think, was November, the ordinance reestablishing it and putting all the guidelines out
That
there.
was 13?
November of 13. So,
When did we have our first loan committee meeting?
well,
It took a
that's,
while because that's when we turned over all the documents to get all the
I know we had one in
particulars.
April, and we had a meeting in April, and the next meeting we didn't have till August, I believe. But in the meantime, you had authorized us to send everything to Humboldt, and, I mean, I'm pretty sure we got that to them in the first quarter of 13, when you say, 14.
Yeah, 14.
And then this is when we got the brown bounder.
And you got us all the preliminary information on that in June, I believe, of 14. So, I mean, yeah, it has not gone quickly, definitely not. I just don't know. I mean, and you're right, the foreclosure process does take a long time. And the problem is that they will most likely, you know, the very likely scenario is that they will file bankruptcy. And then, you know,
Then what happens?
I mean,
Does
we'll
the
have,
land-
we'll
does it
have
come
the
back to
land.
us?
We'll have the land. But, I don't know. I mean, if maybe we invite Mr. Clerk, or even have a special meeting or something before one of our January meetings to, you know, because he's already talked with Mr. Hall, I know, and looked at how much it's going to cost to get it to where it needs to be. Because, you know, he's already,
He can do it as a non-union job. We'll have to do it as a prevailing wage. It's probably about twice what it's gonna cost. If we gotta do it.
But his contract says everything will pay prevailing wage.
He has to pay prevailing wage too. We went over that before.
he does, he just doesn't pay, there are lots of, what I understood was, and that's where this whole, class action that they have, I think they don't really have, I mean, there is no prevailing wage in Indiana. There is no standard rate scale that is used for every single different kind of contractor. You know what I mean? So I do know, we did find out, and you know, this is their beef as far as with these particular class action suit, but he was paying them over, it was, you know, I don't know exactly what the rates were, but it could be considered prevailing wage. I guess we'll find out what happens when they have their suit. The judge will decide.
I think he was hauling dirt for like $6 a yard. We can't do that. We can't afford to do that. It probably
So you're
costs
saying-
us about $10 or $12 more a yard for us to haul.
So you're saying Mr. Linkamar's got a class action suit against us over prevailing
No.
wage?
No, he has a class action suit against him. Linkmeyer Development has a class action suit against them for not paying prevailing wage, or not paying what they should have been paid for workers. Right now, that
Who was that made was it his employees or?
there's a whole slew of them, at least 5 or 6 of them. We're not named in that, of course, that's something that I got a copy of, but, and then they're also, obviously, the Roe versus Linkmeyer case is still going on. That looks like it's probably going to go to trial. It's, had a mediation and they didn't settle it. So we're dealing, a little bit, what I did bring to you guys and sent to you guys about the release there, that was, the only reason that we did a release to begin with was, because the subdivision was not platted, was not passed and not, established at the time that Waterview was splitting off that lot 2. From what I understand then is the reason that happened was because, but once the plat actually got filed, the plat, that made it a public right of way, which is the city of Lawrenceburg. Now it's, that road has never been dedicated, and that's their beef right now. Waterview is using the road and it's never been dedicated because the work hasn't been completed on it.
And Waterview is the owner of those apartments up there right now.
Yes,
Linkmar is
of
out.
lot number 2. Bischoff was part of that. I don't think that he's a part of Waterview anymore. So, I mean, that's part of that's part of all the information that I'm gleaning from being part of this Roe versus Linkmeyer case. They are setting up depositions too in that case. Right now it's set for trial in 16. Or the end of 15, I'm not sure exactly. We just had a hearing on whether to have a hearing. That's basically what the hearing was. But they are setting up depositions. The court did allow us to do that. The plaintiff to take those. I will be involved in those, of course, and we'll be able to glean more information to help us as well, so.
I mean, I don't know if he can pull off a miracle, but it sounds like his only option is bankruptcy.
Which I guess he probably could have already done that. He probably could have already thrown his hands up and did that, and I don't know.
I think you need to put it in front of you and get the contract what you're after and find out. Go from there. It's up to you. You're the board. He needs to be here to explain what he can do, what he can't do, huh? What he's doing.
but the only way the board was gonna consider it was to look at the contract. So, I mean, one of the things I can, like I said, I know Mr. Lawrence, you did say if you had a copy of it for us that night, we would give it right back to you. And I think that's what he got. I don't think that he got, that they wanted it
But
a
if he
couple
couldn't be
days.
here tonight, he could have
Yeah,
had somebody
he could
brought.
have. He could have.
But
Well, I do think he intended to be here, but at any rate.
Okay, I got one more question. Is there anybody else not current on their loans that we have asked to be current through your letters, Leslie? I know Davis is not current. From speaking with him the last time he was at the podium. Is there anyone
All the
else?
letters that I sent out in October were basically, the ones I had were paying, all the way through. Mr. Zerby, Leland, he has missed some lately. Of course-
Leland?
Yeah, Leland LLC. Dearborn Golf Resort LLC, which we already talked about, and Mr. Davis.
Can you write them letters telling them they need to become current? I mean, that's all we ask. Or we will start foreclosures.
I mean, the board better vote on it before closure, before you put that in there.
Well, we gotta get stronger language in them letters.
I agree, but.
I mean, what else
there
could we
was a
s-
vote for anybody before that was not current, to send them a letter, give them 30 days to pay something, and within 60 days to become current, or we would start foreclosure proceedings.
Yeah, that bid did pass.
Yes, and her letters
That
didn't
was
state
like-
that.
The board voted on.
Two meetings ago, I think.
Leslie,
That
give me
was-
those names again now that I've got them all on
Voted on pass them.
one sheet.
That was only to a particular few, which was Houston.
Leland and
Ones that
who?
we went through,
Houston.
which at that time was
I'm
the ones
sorry, I
that was
couldn't
late.
understand you.
Yeah, Leland at that time was current.
Aneski was also, and that's one we're working on. He was one of the letters that said, you know, please
Become current, right?
become current. I mean, I don't have all of them with me. Because I actually wrote it in each file. But when I was getting ready for the meeting on the 17th, I went through and looked, and like I said, the Leland Company, the Leland LLC, Dearborn Golf Resort LLC, and Davis Company were the ones that I noted that were, of course, Slaintmeyer, but, so,
Okay, going back to the motion we made, why wasn't it stated in the letter?
it was stated in the letter. I got you copies of all those letters.
I got copies of all those letters too, and I never read no 30 days and 60 days foreclosure.
There was nothing to say that I said further legal action would be taken. I never said that foreclosure would happen. Because there was no decision that there would be a foreclosure filed. There was no motion that said that we were going to file foreclosure within 60 days. We said further legal action would be happen if they didn't become
I've
current on
listened to the
payments.
meeting minutes.
Yeah, I don't remember them, you guys, because I would have,
I made every motion.
okay.
And what was your motion?
I just said it a minute ago. 30 days to make some sort of payment, within 60 days to become current, or foreclosure proceedings.
No, that's how I mean, I'll look at the letters. Like I said, I don't have all those letters with me. The ones I brought were just the 5 that we had tonight.
And then also made a motion that would be reporting all the loans to the credit bureau. Was
And
that-
that's how, the bank is who, I have drafted a letter, and I have a letter going out to 4 banks tomorrow. And hopefully they can help us do that, because I have not the first inkling on how to report anybody to a credit bureau and doing it correctly. Well, and then also, I think we couldn't do it until we had current numbers too, because all our numbers would have been through.
Because I think I
June.
said at that meeting before, I feel that the city's doing an injustice to banks and stuff if somebody goes and tries to borrow money that's already borrowed a bunch of money, and, you know, they can't make their payment or whatever to the bank,
'Cause they're
but the
not
bank
aware of
doesn't
it.
see that they owe that money. So that's not doing the bank.
But I think that's
Fair,
something we
you
can
know.
definitely talk to the financial institution about.
Because, I mean, I would feel bad if somebody went down to our local bank and borrowed a big note and couldn't pay it because they's already had a bunch out, but the bank didn't know it because it's not reported.
Well, the bank would do a little bit more due diligence than that, though. All they'd have to do is go and look at, I mean, they would have to come to us, obviously, but,
What 4 banks did you come up with to discuss that, to help us?
I mean, we went over that last time, didn't we? It was Friendship State Bank,
That was mentioned.
UCB,
UCB and,
Dearborn?
US Bank,
US Bank and Dearborn one.
and Fifth Third Bank is what I had down. So, I don't know if there's any others. I mean, these are just, we're asking for basically their services, so it's not a bid process or anything like that, so, if there are more that you want me to send out, I could. The reason we talked about Friendship was because someone had contacted, or someone had contacted the
actually
clerk's office on it.
Contacted.
So you're gonna send out letters, make them come current, or proceed on?
Should put that in a motion, or?
Wait a minute, I want to get these banks written down. UCB, US, Friendship.
In Dearborn Savings.
No, and Fifth Third.
Fifth Third, I'm sorry.
Can we add Dearborn?
UCB, US, Fifth Third. Friendship.
So that would be a total of 5.
And, you know, in talking with some of the banks today, or I talked to Fifth Third today, yeah, I'm not even sure if that's something they would even offer. Because basically, they're doing everything they would do if they had the loan, except for they don't get the payments. You know, I mean, they don't get the money. So-
Just give these loans, don't take them.
Can we give them the interest, or part of the interest?
That we're gonna have to, well, I'm sure there's gonna be some kind of fee.
Administrative fees
Yeah.
at least.
Well, I thought we talked before, like a 4%, and they get 2%, and the city get 2% or something.
If it goes to the bank stage, we did decide to raise the interest rate for the
But
loans.
this is just a preliminary letter to them to say, hey, this is what we're looking for. If you're interested, contact me. And, you know, if I do get any interest, then I'll bring it back to the board, and we can even have them come and present what it would be. You know, you guys could ask them questions and so on and so forth. So if you want to set up a January meeting, we can do that.
Okay, Mike, you wanna make that motion?
I make a motion to every loan that is not current, for them to be sent a letter, as we sent to others, of 30 days to make some sort of payment, to come current within 60 days, or foreclosure proceedings will take place.
Second,
Second.
all in favor,
Aye.
all against?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Jane,
Yes.
Bill,
No.
Mike,
Yes.
JR.
No.
It's 2-2.
I think you ought to pay up. I'm gonna vote yes, go ahead and do it. I think they need to start paying this stuff up. It went long enough.
Thank you, Mayor.
How do banks do it?
I wish banks
That's-
would take these things.
That's the thing I'm talking about is, I mean, if someone misses a payment, are we gonna say, hey, we're gonna start foreclosing on you? I mean, I don't know how banks do it, you know, but.
No, we're talking about,
If they're current, if they're staying current, if, you know, Leland, I don't know how far he's behind, or if it's just a couple payments.
Right.
Is that just cause to say, hey, we're gonna foreclose on you now, you know? So,
I think it's
that's
just
why
fees, aren't they?
I think we need, again, some professionals to say, hey, this is how you need to operate.
That too. Let's get them, at least, maybe let's get them in front of us. You guys can ask them questions, see what they're gonna do.
But the motion was to go ahead and, so 30 days is some kind of payment, 60 days to become current, or foreclosure. We will file foreclosure. That was the motion.
Which that's what it was last time. If it will
And we
make,
all five said yes.
if it
It
will
was not,
make it
it
better,
was not foreclosure, it was not mentioned. It
we
was
can
further
change
closure.
the wording to like your other letter, but I
think
don't
you
want
need to
things
review
to
the
keep
DVD.
carrying on.
I just said put further legal action can be taken.
Yeah,
Want to change your motion on
May
it?
have win.
yeah, I'm fine with it, changing it to
I'm sorry.
further legal action.
You all right, your second?
60 days to become current or
So
further.
that time, I'm pretty sure that was when we were contemplating the tax issue as well. And we also had that avenue.
And then that'll give us time to look at it, it'll give the bank time to look at it.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some
But to
things
me,
on board.
if then in the 30 and 60 days, you know, if they haven't made a big effort, then, you know,
Well, I had talked to Mr. Zerby. I don't know what the deal is as far as the recent payments he's missed, but, I mean, he did talk to me about getting something together to modify it. So, I'll make him aware. I guess, can
And
you,
Leslie, who are you gonna write
can you
this?
update the rest of them? Is that a
Yeah, I
problem?
think, just kind of going back, when we went through this, we categorized the, you know, the biggest issues and went through those first. And the ones that are paying and are staying current, we just kind of put them to the side because
Right.
they have an issue there. And I think we've been through the largest part of the ones that we felt needed some follow-up. There may be just a few more.
Okay,
So when I get back, Tyler and I will meet next week.
okay,
And Leslie, we'll talk to you about the remaining ones that would fall into this category of letters
okay.
and
That'd be great.
support you on that.
That'd be great.
See if one of those banks will assume these loans, take them away from us. Get rid of them.
How's the dollar store coming along?
I'm gonna break it down and see the weather breaks. What? He's gonna do some other involvement too.
I was so sad. I seen this older person bicycling from Kroger's, but he couldn't ride the bike because he had so many bags on his handlebars that he had to walk the bike with the groceries on the handlebars all the way from Kroger's.
Well, and that, the problem is too, right there, when you get to Proximo, that whole
That's
sidewalk
bad.
is disintegrated. So we did talk to them when we're talking to Proximo. Hopefully we can, in
It's
conjunction
coming.
with us, can get that rehab there.
So, according to your email, we're not going to receive a packet for the January 5th meeting?
Oh, yeah, you'll receive a packet. I just meant for tonight's meeting, there really wasn't a packet to send out, other than, you know, the ones I wrote down from last time that we were gonna talk about
And we're
tonight.
supposed to bring in the papers that you emailed us for the easements?
Oh, yeah, don't worry about that. Like I said, we resolved that, because they were under a different understanding. We have resolved it. They don't want that release anymore, so we're good. It's just basically, like I said, once that subdivision was filed and, it became a subdivision, that became a public right-of-way. And so we own it as the person, you know, the city of Lawrenceburg.
So we don't need to bring in those easement papers?
No, he doesn't. He's not requiring that. He just wants something from me that says I agree with the analysis that this, you know, because of the subdivision being filed, that these are no longer needed, so.
Both say more? Any motion, John?
I would like to wish everybody a happy new year
Happy New Year.
So moved.
and a blessed new year.
A motion, John?
I'll move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Thank you, Dan.
Be careful going home, Dan.
parking requirements for what, miss?
Various projects. I can.
I had talked to Clark.
Yes, right here.
Okay.
Park?
Thanks,
That's
Diane.
Uh-huh, no, thank
mean
you.
Park spaces? Yeah. that's
Different-
Be careful.
Different form, but different, how many,
If you live there, you're allowed to park there.
Well,
yeah, there's have
because the
space
county
wise.
is in their latest annex plan.
Are they
Let's talk
gonna,
about parking later.
are they gonna go through that?
No, they gotta get a, they gotta come and get a,
We'll talk about
Right
parking
there,
later.
it's so
When
many
it's
spaces.
already
really big.
hell, when there's jury trial.
Yeah, that's true.
Are they gonna go ahead and add on to that courthouse? I hope they shut that down.
Maybe. Oh, yes, there's a file over. Oh, file.
What's that? I have no idea.
I don't either.
Joints in the.
I think they turned it off, maybe it's gotta hit one last.
Yeah, the official term. Crystal has it all locked in her memory banks. But, yeah, there's her story and some other stuff.
I read the article. I don't know what I did with the English. They say
And you probably saved it, but then somebody else took it out. Or it, yeah, something happened to it, because that has happened